Hi, my name is Chris Wilder, Executive Director of the Valley Medical Center Foundation. But I'm here today to encourage you to vote yes on Measure A. We have an opportunity this November to protect some of Santa Clara County's most important services, some of which you or someone you love will need sooner or later. Currently in our county, the economic downturn has resulted in substantially reduced revenues from falling property taxes, falling state sales tax, and state and federal budget cuts. It's all led to a smaller allocation of funds to counties and cities. This reduction in revenue has resulted in 10 straight years of budget cuts to the county's general fund, totaling more than $2 billion. Now, the county's leaders haven't sat idly by while this problem gets worse and worse. Over the last 10 years, our supervisors have drawn down budget reserves, deleted positions, employed technology to create savings through greater efficiency, while thousands of doctors, nurses, firefighters, and the guy who keeps the office clean have all accepted cuts in pay and benefits. Let me back up a moment to remind you what the county actually provides for us. First, the county is responsible for much of the safety net in our community. That's Valley Medical Center and the county's health and hospital system. Valley Medical Center operates a top-level trauma center and burn unit for the Bay Area, a world-class spinal cord and brain injury rehab center, a hospital and clinic system that will see at least 1 in 4 of us in Santa Clara County, mental health support and protection from infectious disease, emergency preparedness, and a lot more. A few statistics on the health system from last year. 72,000 people were treated in Valley Medical Center's emergency department. 23,000 were connected to needed mental health services. We monitored 95,000 ambulance calls and cared for over 1,000 people with spinal cord and brain injuries as well as strokes, investigated 954 people suspected of either having tuberculosis or coming into contact with someone with tuberculosis, and over 250,000 people were cared for and treated by the county hospital or community clinics alone last year. So the bottom line is this: it doesn't matter where you get your regular health care. With the trauma and specialty services that the county provides, you or someone you love will likely need Valley Medical Center at some point. And the budget cuts have been deep. That's why we need Measure A. Of course, the county does so much more. It also provides law enforcement with the sheriff's department and jail, health coverage for kids and low-income families, parks and trails, social services, all sorts of things. The language in Measure A reads as follows: shall the County of Santa Clara enact a 1/8 cent sales tax that cannot be taken by the state for local priorities such as law enforcement and public safety, trauma and emergency room services, health coverage for low-income children, economic development and job creation, housing for the homeless, and programs to help students stay in school, all for a limited period of 10 years with annual public reports to ensure fiscal accountability. That's it, simple and to the point. 1/8 of a penny tax increase for just 10 years to protect essential county services. We just can't rely on the state and federal government to provide services we need here in our county. Washington and Sacramento, they make cuts based on their priorities, not our priorities. Measure A will generate funds that cannot be taken away by the state. They can only be used for essential local services. Measure A will help prevent cuts to the county's Healthy Kids program, which provides coverage for thousands of children who, before the program started, didn't have any coverage at all. Children with health coverage miss fewer days of school and show improvement in paying attention and keeping up with school activities. Measure A will support public safety and law enforcement programs that keep criminals off the streets. Measure A will support programs to help students stay in school and stay healthy and able to learn. Measure A will support controlling the spread of diseases like tuberculosis, whooping cough, AIDS, and H1N1 through early detection and immunizations. Measure A means we can count on these critical services for our local community. Join us in working to provide a healthy and safe quality of life for our county and vote yes on Measure A. Thank you.
Have you noticed that many things tend to cost more over time? Depending on how old you are, you might remember buying a hamburger, fries, and a drink for $1, or 25 cents per gallon gas, 10-cent ice cream, or even shopping at the 5 and dime. Today, the closest store to a 5 and dime is 99 cents, not including the sales tax. My name is Elizabeth Brierly, and I'm the Executive Director of Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association. I'd like to alert you to the potential consequences of 2 measures on your ballot this November. The government likes automatic increases. The beauty of sales taxes for them is that when we pay more for things, the government collects more. But getting those sales tax increases automatically is not enough for our state and county governments. They keep asking for a bigger cut. In November, you'll have the chance to decide if you want the sales tax that you, your friends, and neighbors pay to increase again. First, Proposition 30 will be decided by voters statewide. If they pass it, you'll be paying another 1/4% in sales tax, whether you want to or not. Additionally, here in Santa Clara County, Measure A proposes a 1/8% sales tax increase. Together, Proposition 30 and Measure A would raise the sales tax to 8 7/8% for all purchases in the county. That's almost a penny for every dime you spend. Have you noticed the many retail vacancy signs due to the recession? How many more shops will go the way of Circuit City, Montgomery Ward's, Fedco, Whitefront, or your favorite local hardware store, bookstore, or restaurant? The volunteer board members of Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association analyzed both Measure A and Prop 30 and unanimously concluded that their passage would further injure our local economy, which is already suffering. We urge you to vote no on both. The problem is, if a larger percent of local businesses and household budgets is taken for taxes, fewer purchases will be made, especially by those who are unemployed, retired, or on fixed incomes because they just don't have more to spend. Consumers have options when it comes to where we shop. We can shop at local stores, or we can go the next county over, or we can go online and make purchases with the click of a mouse and have it delivered to our door. At a time when the laws of economics suggest that reducing sales taxes would stimulate sales, we're being asked to consider discouraging sales by raising the cost of everything we buy locally, making things worse than they already are for local businesses and for the salespeople and other service providers who depend on these local sales for their jobs. Why vote to handicap your neighborhood retailer with higher prices? We should be making local businesses more competitive, not less. And what about your fellow consumers? Your vote isn't only about you and what you want for yourself. Your vote has consequences for everyone around you. And many of them just can't afford the higher cost, especially in California, which already has among the highest tax rates in the nation. Again, the government gets more money automatically when we pay higher prices for goods. They get more money automatically when we buy more goods. We can't buy more goods when tax rates keep creeping upward, eating away at our budgets and those of other shoppers in our county and state. Do you agree that it's time to ask local government to join us in tightening our belts, spending more wisely, and living within our means? Please vote against penalizing local consumers and businesses. Vote no on State Proposition 30 and no on County Measure A. For more information about the bad effects of Measure A, we ask you to visit our website at www.svtaxpayers.org. That's svtaxpayers.org. Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association wrote the argument against Measure A that will appear in your voter's handbook coming in early October. We are a volunteer organization and we invite you to join us. If you aren't yet registered to vote, you have until October 22nd to register. We encourage you to read all the arguments, pro and con, on Measure A. We feel confident that intelligent and informed voters will conclude that not only is Measure A a bad idea during a deep recession, it would be a bad idea even in a healthy economy. Remember, if you want to revitalize the local economy, you don't do it by adding another burden, especially when so many consumers are already struggling. You do revitalize it by removing tax burdens, not adding them. Just say no to more taxes and yes to more jobs, more businesses, and more choices. Say no to Proposition 30. Vote no on Measure A in Santa Clara County.